Hello, good evening. So here we are. We are going to try something a little bit different tonight. We're going to do a ball review show, I guess is the best way to describe it. So we are going to review the Storm Trend. It's Jason Belmonte's latest collaboration with Storm. So without further ado, I will introduce our reviewers. So here he is, the guy, the man, the myth, the legend. He's won everything there is to win, and he's got several bowling balls with his name on the side. G'day, mate.
Stewie, mate, how are you? I'm actually just in the middle of sharing this live stream. Give me a second.
No problem. Our third victim on the testing is a man who's been on our show before on the Beef and Barnzy show. He's actually made several TV shows, including, I think he was the runner-up to Belmo in the Chameleon last year. AJ Chapman.
Hey guys, what's going on?
How you doing, mate?
Good, good.
AJ, how are you?
What's up, Jace? How you doing?
Good. I wouldn't have recognized you if it wasn't for that backwards hat. I'm glad you were wearing that today. Otherwise, I would have been like, who is that guy? Who's on the other side of it?
The hats is obviously an AJ thing. So just a really brief rundown. I had this idea that we were going to get myself and Jason and AJ, we were going to bowl a game, and we were going to show you the game live, or as live, I guess, and just chat through. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask about the ball. Jason decided to make my life a little bit more tricky. So I've kind of had to chop the video up into match play style. So you're going to see, I believe it's AJ, Belmo, then Stu. So in that order. So, yeah. Who do you think is going to win? It was one game.
I love how you just referred to yourself in the third person too. That's when you know you're big time on podcasting, is when you can just start referring yourself to as, it's Stu is also going to be throwing the ball. It's great.
Yeah. Just a little, I guess a little prerequisite for this was that we're originally filming 2 games. But Belmo was filming his quite late at night. And so he only got to do 1 game. So me and AJ, this was the first game we bowled. Our second game might have been higher, but you know.
Well, let me. No. So it wasn't just because I was lazy and tired. And believe me, the second game was starting out to be pretty good. I think like the front 5 or 4. So I was like, ooh, this could be good. And then I had a lane breakdown, and I'm like, oh man, by the time I go down there and fix it, we're going to have to cut all this video up. It's going to be a pain in the ass. And then I went down there and had a look at it. I'm like, it needs it's more work than 5 minutes. So I'm like, Stewie, I'm done. We're done with 1.
I was afraid that Mama Belmonte was going to get onto me for talking about a breakdown in her precious bowling center. So I wasn't bringing up that there was a lane breakdown.
Well, and it never happens here. Like, that was the other frustrating part. We take care of this place better than, and that's where I am right now. I'm actually at the bowling center. We take care of it so well. So it was like it was shocking to me when I'm like, what, there's a breakdown? Why is there a lane breakdown? This doesn't happen here. Anyway, move on. So, run the video.
Just quickly, Aaron says that I might have a chance in this one because Stephanie isn't involved. Robert says, can we give a shout out to his son Jonathan, who just bowled his highest game of 242 using the mix, 12 pounds.
Nice.
Congratulations,
awesome.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Great game, man.
11. I think at 11, my high game was 211, so he's fairly a long way away ahead of me. And then one quick question. AJ, where's your cool accent from?
I don't think the upper Midwest has anything super amazing to show off versus these 2.
I don't know whether that was sarcasm or whether they're being serious.
Yeah.
So here we go. Let me just get this Yeah, we're good.
Hey, before you press play, Stu, can I give a shout out to my son Hugo, who had a win on the weekend?
Yeah, sure, cool. He was the man.
My boy Hugo got his first win ever. We had a local tournament, and in his division, he came up good. So, and he was using trend, which makes me even happier to see him throwing a ball with my logo on it. But dude, let me tell you, of all things that I've done on the lanes myself, watching him compete and to win, I had to give the awards out to all the kids that had played, and I had the big standing sheets, and I was going through the list, and I didn't even look at the top places. I was just waiting to get them. And as I was getting, I think it was in third or second position, I was reading out, and I saw that his name was on the top. Oh, dude, it really hit me differently. It was pretty amazing. So shout out to my boy Hugo.
Congratulations, Hugo. Heavy, quite large shoes to fill, but off to a good start.
Yeah, starting young and hitting it right away. That's pretty good.
All right, AJ, you're up first. I will give you a slight pass. We had some issues transferring the file across. Yours video probably isn't quite as sharp as mine and Belmo's, but
yeah.
So what were you bowling on? What?
It was just leftover house. I think it was from league the previous night. I went in I don't know, probably early afternoon. So it was left over from either that morning league or league the previous night. It's been raining a bunch, so it was super, super humid in there. And if you can, I don't know if the video is crisp enough, but halfway through the video, you can see the tape on my thumb, not sticking to my thumb. So when I put my thumb in it, you can see it flapping around. And there's a couple of shots that I stick pretty good. The approaches are pretty tacky. But
you got any excuses, Belmo, in your game?
No. I think I had a pretty fresh pattern here. It was just regular house as well. No humidity. It's winter here, or it's cold, so didn't have to worry about that. And even if I did have tape on the thumb and it was humid, I still don't have to worry about it. So,
I'm not complaining or using it as an excuse. I mean, we still got to see who's going to win this game. But
so yeah, I mean, I guess we're not really gonna. I mean, when I was doing this, I was figuring I was bowling 2 games, so I was going a little straighter than I would have done. So this is one thing I actually quite like about the trend. With it being lower RG but still a clean cover, I feel like I can use more straighter angles with it still and control it. Whereas with some of the other balls with those kind of quick covers, it's kind of hard to keep them online. You kind of have to have that bigger angle. So I feel like I can use it a little bit sooner in the block than I would some of the other, cleaner balls.
Yeah, and I actually think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people seem to forget about what trend is because it's got R2S Pearl on it. They just make this assumption that, this ball is going to be very similar to an IQ to an Emerald or to a High Road Pearl, where it creates that really, really angular late movement. And I think, like you said, because of the numbers in the wave block, it actually does pick up a little sooner, which means you can play it a little more in the middle of the lane and kind of roll it a little more. So I think that's another thing to be really aware of when you're drilling this trend is you can actually play this in the middle of the lane. You don't have to be curving it like I am here or like AJ is. You can kind of play it a little straighter like Stewie.
Man, there you go. Still even see takes no.
Have we missed yet? Has anyone missed yet?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Right.
Maybe we should be running back.
And we haven't seen each other's videos, right? I haven't seen your videos, so I have no idea how it's gonna look.
So AJ, where do you see it fitting in your bag?
I think it's probably just above an Emerald and below any of the shiny ASIMs. It's the first probably shiny symmetric ball that I would go to because the engine is a little bigger in it still. And it you guys were talking about how it does pick up in that spot where a lot of balls with the R2S Pearl go through it. So yeah, I think it's just below the shiny ASIMs, astrophysics and stuff like that. It's below that and above an Emerald and a High Road Pearl.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. For me, I find the Emerald one of the balls that I don't really know where it's supposed to fit because it doesn't always fit in the same place every bowling center.
That is true.
I see this as being like the ball that fills the gap for me between like an idle pull and a high road pull. Like it's dead between the two.
I can definitely see that.
For me, I felt like with having kind of, I guess what would be determined kind of medium to the higher end rev rate, medium higher, I mean, not higher. I find that I can't really use the idle pull that long because it just gets, it gets too straight down the lane. Whereas some of the higher rev guys like you two can use it for a lot longer in a block than I can. So I feel like I'll probably end up using the trend directly off like phase twos and idles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Probably might even make me skip over the idle pull a little bit because I feel like I don't really like using a ball, like having to change balls a lot. I prefer to be able to stick with a ball for longer in a block. Oh man, come on.
Oh, that's
I made sure it wasn't going to rep 10 again. I made sure it wasn't going to rep 10. So yeah, I got the Belmo carry on that one.
I got the Belmo hit. Well, it's got the name on the side of it. I call it Chris Prather hit now.
Yeah, he gets a lot of those big 4Ks too. Something about that soft ball speed and rotation. I don't know.
So Belmo,
go
about to say, you use the high road pull a lot. Where would you put this in, like off your high road pull, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I think very, very similar to what you're saying about the idle pearl. Like I was a huge fan of the idle pearl, and my transition was always idle pearl to high road pearl. But sometimes the idle pearl for me just got a little forward on the back, and the high road pearl was just a little too angular and clean. So then you'd have to trick one of the two balls, right? I either have to make the idle pearl more angular, or I have to tone down the high road pearl for me. So where I see this is, it's right in the middle of those two balls. And I would probably see my progression been more like, I don't really use a lot of the asim stuff. I like to keep symmetrical balls in my hand. So like, I use a lot of phase twos. And the progression was always from phase two to idle pearl. Like that's a pretty big jump for me to go from there to there. But the next big jump was idle pearl into my high road pearl. And those two big jumps, I think, I don't know, they can leave you guessing quite a lot what to do, and you're tricking the ball a lot. So I'm probably going to drill a few of these, obviously, but I'm going to probably try to fill both of those two gaps. So I'm going to drill some pretty strong, throw a lot of surface on it, and let that R2S pearl still take over, but have it roll a little sooner. And then I'm going to drill a few weaker, and it's going to be in between the phase two and the high road pearl. So that's where I'm going to try to see how this ball fits. And so far, when I'm throwing it in practices and when I'm manipulating ball surfaces, it has that ability to be a little versatile in drilling and cover changes. Well, cover changes naturally because it's one of our best covers ever. But I'm really excited to see what it looks like on a Pro Tour pattern. I mean, house shots, it's just killing every time I throw it out there. It just strikes a lot. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens when, you've got 50, 60 of the world's best players breaking the lanes down.
Yeah, I've actually, we bowled a sport league over the summer, and I got to use it on a couple of the patterns there. I actually did some Instagram stuff with it. I was messaging with you, I was bowling league, and I was getting a message from Bella. Can we not see the trend? Every time he texts me, how did the weekend go? I go, I did pretty well. I won. Next text message, trend, question mark.
Yeah, and then the other text you usually get is if it's a bad weekend, I go, did you use trend? No, I didn't. Should have done better. Would have done better.
Doesn't matter what the lane condition is, what my problem was. I could be like, I bowled 32 feet. I really struggled on the fresh. Did you try the trend?
So I'm going to make a couple of I guess assumptions here for you boys, and I want to kind of get a feel on what I think and what you two throw the ball, right? So AJ, when I see you, especially on tour, you're probably one of the few guys that can play as far left as I play. Did you, when I'm seeing right now, like you're not as far left as what we would normally get at the end of a block on tour. But did you ever find like the further and further you move left with trend, did it kind of, I don't want to say bail, but did you find like the sweet spot for the ball was like between fifth and third arrow? Anywhere in there was kind of its sweet spot. I'm getting a tending to feel that's the sweet spot for the ball.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, it is like we kind of talked about the idle pearl. At some point, it does get a little forward once you kind of get to a point because the engine is still inside of it. And this one's, I think, similar, but you can go further than you can with the idle pearl. I think, yeah, probably to, somewhere 26, 27. That's kind of the sweet spot. I would agree with that though. Definitely somewhere between 15 and 26, 27 is definitely where that.
And I think that's like part of one of the questions I get a lot is like, oh, when the design process and when you're making a ball, I think it's so critical for companies, not just our company, but all companies, is when they're bringing out a new ball, like where does it fit and what is it supposed to do? And I think Storm and Rotogrip have the most angular balls in the world already on the market. So it was really important to be like, well, I don't really want to be competing and having players be like, oh, well, why do I need this when I've already got that? And I think it was really important to kind of find that sweet spot, which we don't really have a ball that's in that space. What did I shoot? 268.
268.
Should have been higher. Left a couple of 10 pins.
Yeah, a couple of bad racks. Will the owners fix the racks?
I'll tell Dad about it.
Oh, there it was, flat 10. Oh.
Well, and then that was my other comment was about you, Stu, right? Was you tend to throw the ball with your hand way more behind it for a lot longer. And I think that's because you have so much more touch. Your rev rate's a little lower, so it lets you stay a little further right. But did you find you had to, like, when you were rolling it with a little bit more forward, did it still create that angle down the lane? I'm genuinely interested in
I think the thing that
how you let it go
about it was that I could use speed to control how much it hooked. So it was kind of like I find with some of the balls that are quite angular, sometimes if you throw them slower, they kind of like hook and then stop. And the thing I liked about this is because it was the lower RG, I felt like I could pretty much, as long as there was oil in the front part of the lane, I could pretty much go as far left as I wanted. And I could hook it as much as I wanted to just by changing my speed. I didn't really have to do anything too clever. Yeah, you got me. I think this just restarted. Yeah, I think AJ said he ended up with 255. So, yeah, you came out on top, mate. What a surprise.
Yeah, weird.
Well, and I'm going to be real here, okay? I got lucky. All right, I tripped a 410 in the middle. I think, Stu, you probably bowled the better game, but I caught a hit or two, and so did AJ. So, AJ, you were never going to win that, all right? You even
two rep 10s. Come on.
You were never going to win that one, all right?
We both had fresh lanes, though, mate.
Yeah, I was
That's
going left
true.
over.
No, I didn't take that into consideration. So, AJ, I'll give you 12 pins handicap. What that put to 267. All right, so you lose by one.
Well, no, I think I had 59. I'm pretty sure Stu and I tied.
Okay. Either way. So yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of questions. What's the better ball, Trend or IQ Tour Nano on the house shot? I guess it really depends on who's throwing it and what you like to see. If you're a guy who really likes to attack the dry part of the lane, then I think the Nano Pearl is probably going to be better because it's smoother. But like, if you want to see the ball go down the lane and hook, then you're probably going to prefer the Trend. And it depends which bowling center you're in. I mean, they fit so different a gap for me. I don't know whether you've got to throw the Nano Pearl yet, Jay.
Yeah, no, I have. I think the best way to answer that is if you like to see more of that idle pearl shape and you need something with just a little bit more response on the back end, then Trend is going to be more suited to. If you're looking for something to kind of give you a little more shape than a regular IQ Tour, then your IQ Tour Nano Pearl is kind of the two options. So depending on what shape you like And again, it all comes back to, when Storm are making these bowling balls, it's fitting balls, not just for us guys to throw them, but for everyone. So there's no point us bringing out all of the most angular balls in the world if it's not going to suit absolutely everyone. So I think it really does come down to, what do you like? What shape are you looking for? And what do you have in your bag? And working off of those answers gives you a much clearer indication on what's the next ball to fill a gap or to replace an old one or something like that. So, and I think Stu's pretty much right. If you like to see more curve in terms of a controlled, smoother motion, you're going to go to the IQ Tour range, where, the trend is certainly more, it's more skid with a bit of pop on the back.
I actually find the IQ Tour Nano Pearl to be a lot stronger than I expected it to be. It's also got a name that's way too long. So that's another issue. What's have you been liking what you've seen out of your Nano Pearl, AJ?
Yeah, actually, I drilled a couple of them. I drilled one kind of my standard, like 4.5 up to start with the lower diff balls, and it rolls pretty good. It actually got kind of better for me as it lane shined, because it definitely was stronger than I was expecting. It's almost not a lot about the ball screams Pearl. Like, it just feels like it beats IQ Solid. That's kind of what it does. It feels like it covers more room left to right than an IQ Solid with a similar shape. So I think it's really useful. And if we're talking about like the question between those two, I almost like to throw both of them just one to the other. Like, I think the Nano is a decent one to start out with because it is a little stronger, but it's a little smoother off the super wet dry, especially everything in Texas. It hooks so much, you need to find a way to blend it out. So I throw the Nano first, and then I would go to the Trend after a game or so.
So I think I know the answer to this, and it's going to make you sound like a salesman, but Belmo, out of the balls you've made, which one do you like the most?
Without a doubt, Trend. And I think there are a few reasons why. It's a complicated world designing bowling balls and designing weight blocks and cover stocks to match it up. And I was just so shocked, to be honest. I didn't realize it was as complicated as it really was. I mean, you're talking about the physics in designing stuff. I mean, man, you can't just whip it up overnight. There's years of development and R&D that go into these bowling balls. So I think when I first came out with Timeless, with Drive, and then even Promotion, I was really learning each time, like what happens when we do it like this. And Storm have been great in teaching me and educating me on, this is what happens when we just adjust the weight block like this a little bit. I'm like, oh, don't do that, but I would never have known that prior. So when we developed Trend, utilizing the piston core from the Promotion, it was like, right, how do we match it with the right cover now? And this is really the best ball that I feel like, with my input, like been more knowledgeable, been educated more in that world. I got my head around this one way better. This is suited for way more players. I think Timeless in particular was really suited. You had a high rev rate and you like to see that ball, you had a little side rotation, man, that ball was great. But if you didn't, it was really hard to get that ball to shape right for you. I think Promotion was kind of similar in that essence. It was like such a strong core with a very strong cover. It's like, okay, this is great, but how many people are going to love the ball? I really like it, but how many are going to love it? Now Trend is, I think, the ball that is suited for the most bowlers out there for that type of shape. That little bit push through the front, a little kick on the back. That's where it's going to sit for a lot of people. So I'm very, very happy with Trend. I can't wait to throw it. I really can't wait. Last time, Stewie, I brought out a ball with a logo on it for the PBA League. You didn't miss.
I did all right, didn't
I? I'm kind of hoping you do the same thing with Trent.
So, Elijah, the only thing I would say for this question to answer fairly is that the Drive is easily number 4.
Drive, like I said, I was in a learning phase. I think Drive was, again, very situational. If you love it, you love it. but if you didn't even like it remotely, it was really bad for you. But I've seen a lot of guys really, really like it, but it was hard. It was hard to say, oh yeah, I'll bring it in my bag just in case. Where I think promotion, you could do that. I was like, oh, maybe I'll bring it just in case. But I feel like trend is the first one that you put in your bag and you say, I will be using this at some point in the day when the lanes are conducive to this ball. And I think that's, why it's one of my favorite is I know I'm going to get a lot more use out of it, but I'm also going to see a lot of other people use it because of that reason.
Aaron, almost regardless of what we're bowling on, Belmo's going to be using the trend in the PBA league. That's just the way it is. It's fine. I'm definitely going to bring a trend, but I am constantly in love with the Rubicon at the minute. I think that ball's really special. I think you're going to see a lot of that ball on TV in the next 6 months. And that leads me on to when are we going to see you guys on TV? The people who don't qualify high up, like the LAX, are going to be bowling on the 27th. However, as we're in the LAX, we're going to have a couple of days off. You won't see us till like the 29th, semifinals. Yeah. How do you like? Oh, just quickly. All right, this is kind of the trend show, so I'll quickly answer this. I'm thinking of replacing the Halo Pearl with the Nuclear Cell. The Nuclear Cell is sooner and a little bit more rounded than the Halo Pearl. So Brian Middleton says, loves his phase 3. Would the trend be a step up, allowing me to start a little left on a more typical house shot? I would say that the trend's more angular and continuous, whereas the phase 2 is almost like it's almost quicker, but it then goes really forward, would be how I see those two balls. I think that the phase 3 is earlier, but it also goes forward a lot quicker. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think that too, because for the fact that it's a hybrid cover, shiny hybrid cover instead of a pearl cover, and it's a little stronger cover if I'm thinking right. So that would make sense to me too, where it should be a little cleaner and a little quicker than the phase 3.
Yeah, I didn't really use the phase 3 much, which surprised me, to be honest. As much as I love phase 2 and then having that hybrid cover, I was thinking I was probably going to use it way more than I ever did. But yeah, I think it was kind of just the combinations didn't quite match the parts of the lane that I was looking to play. I couldn't play further right with it because it would still pop a little too much for me, but then I couldn't get on the other side of it because it was just a little forward for me as well. And that's just because of the way that I throw it and the parts of the lane that I like to play, where I see guys who really love a phase 3, who really love it and like to play it a little straighter through the fronts. That's where I see the trend being a really cool kind of secondary option. It's when the phase 3 just gets a little forward, a little early, and you need to go into a bit more oil. Well, when you go into a little bit more oil and you create a bit more shape to the right, you want something that's going to have a little bit more response down lane, especially on house shots. So it would be a great complement to a phase 3 if you love a phase 3.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I just think that some of the balls that don't get used on tour is just because of the way the lanes break down. We have a very much of a like here and then here. The whole world's deciding it wants to call me during this show. But yeah, so if the kind of balls that you play in the in-between zone don't really come into play. I actually drilled a phase 3 last week because I started thinking, I really like this ball till I went out on tour. And then when I didn't use it on tour, you kind of forget about it. And then the very first game I bowled with it, I shot 282. I had the front 10 choke. So one last question, I think. Aaron, Jason, you have a plastic, a hybrid, a solid, and a pearl with your name on it. Can we possibly expect urethane in the future?
It hasn't really crossed my mind. And, coincidentally, the way that I've covered a lot of the covers of a bowling ball, it really hasn't been like, oh, I haven't made a pearl yet. Let's make a pearl. Like, I feel like it's just the progression of knowledge, understanding what I'm looking for, and then mixing it with the right weight blocks. However, a urethane ball, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there are other players out there in the world that would probably be more suited to having a logo on a urethane ball. I love my pitch blacks. I love them. So I don't really foresee me ever wanting to throw anything other than pitch black. So I don't know. Maybe that's something Jesper might, want to have a conversation about.
I've got a shameless plug though for Platinum Ford. They're a dealership up here in Dallas, and they have a new deal that if you go and take a test drive, you get a Wild Streak, and this Wild Streak actually has a Platinum Ford logo on the other side. So maybe you could, give a nod and a wink, and they could just do your pitch black with your logo on it, just for you.
All right. I'll listen. You know what? As soon as this is done, I'm going to email the boys and see if they can do a logo pitch black for me. See what happens.
Can you imagine though? Can you imagine the conspiracy theories though? If you come out
Of what? Yeah.
like you get this ball delivered, and they just literally take a pitch black off the production line, they put it on, and they just scribe the Belmo logo on it, and then you come out at these World Series tournaments that are coming up, and you just win every match with it, and there isn't another one on the truck. Oh my God, that would literally be the best troll job of all time.
Well, I try not to be. I'm already polarizing and controversial enough. I might stay away from that issue. I think I don't need any more heat on my back as I already have.
Okay. AJ's biggest sponsor right here.
Yeah. What's up, Dad?
I love that your dad's watching. I think that's awesome. Honestly,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh, everything. Yeah. Every Friday he texts me. All right, so what are you bowling this weekend, or what's going on? If he doesn't already know, if there's not a regional or something. Hey, you bowling something this weekend? I said no. I got the weekend off this weekend. Oh, okay. Well, that stinks. You get him next weekend.
All right. I won't talk to you until the next time you're bowling.
He goes, all right. I'll text you Friday.
Yeah. Thanks, Weston. Yeah. Guys, let us know if you like this kind of format, this sort of round table idea. We tried to do something a little bit different. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Stu. I'll tell you what I like about this more than some other content that I'm seeing. It's a pet hate of mine that when I see a review of X ball, right? Whatever it is, it can be anything. And they call it a review. But all you see is 35 seconds to a minute of just the ball rolling down the lane. And it bothers me because I'm that's not a review. A review isn't saying, oh, this is my review of the new Batman movie, and then you just play the trailer, right? No, that's not a review. That's just showing you what it's going to be like. And that's kind of where I'm really glad we're able to kind of show people what ball was doing, but then talk a little bit about how we see it. To me, those videos should be called demos, demo with trend and demo with, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say in their defense, because I've got one of those, is that if you write demo, nobody Googles for demo.
You're searching for clicks.
Well, then review them properly. Then, if you're going to record a review,
as well.
Then review it. Well, I'm not talking to you specifically. I'm just saying, if anyone is listening right now and creating content, do it. Go the extra step. You'll get more views when you actually talk about it. So, do it.
I wish that was the case. I've got twice as many reviews for me just throwing it down the lane than me talking about it.
Maybe you need to say better things then.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. The PBA will be back at the end of the month. PBA League. We're taping. I believe they're taping the World Series shows as well. PBA playoffs. So there should be some good stuff coming up in September, October, and November for the PBA. So that's good.
Yeah, huge.
Exciting.
If you want to check out the video, if you look in the link in the description, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see a link to Bowlersmart, one of my sponsors. They've got the best deal on the trend right now. Click the link and buy a trend. So
yeah, cheers, Stewie. Cheers, AJ, for throwing the balls. It looks good, fellas. Looks really good in your hands. Maybe too good. Don't throw it against me.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks.
All right,
See you guys later.
Bye.
Peace, boys.